Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tower of Babble podcast. As always, I'm Julian Mush. I'm joined by Rachel Wilkinson.
Hello.
Oh, wait, what? How is it that you're so loud now? What changed between now?
I don't know. Is there a delay now?
What did you?
I
Maybe.
didn't
Hold
do
on.
anything.
Go back to your audio settings.
I didn't touch them. Okay.
Are you sure? Because you sound so much loud.
I
The
didn't.
second we went live, you sounded like twice as loud.
I didn't touch
It's funny.
anything.
It's
I
mostly
don't
fine.
know. Do I want to look at advanced options? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No. Okay. I don't know. All right. Well, you know what? It'll be fine. Can you hear me?
I can talk
We're
further away
fine.
from the mic.
We'll
Okay, wait.
No.
Is there
I
a
don't know.
lag though?
It sounded like you're. Okay. Let's clap. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Did you clap on 3?
Yeah. I clapped on 1. 3, 2, 1, clap.
You clapped on 1. Yeah. 3, 2, 1,
You
clap.
went 3, 2, 1. Fuck. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Clap.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay. So there's a bit of a delay, but it's not too bad.
Okay, well, it was fine on my end, which is weird.
Okay. Then it's fine. Well, you know what? Let's just not talk about it. We'll just restart.
Okay.
No one's watching it anyway. All right. That's funny.
Should I talk farther away from the mic? Does that help?
Probably.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
Well, I don't know. Just do what you normally do. I don't know what you changed between the moment we did the test and then the moment we started.
Nothing.
But something.
I don't even know how to change things. So.
Oh, now she doesn't know how to change things.
I don't. Okay. That is a real
There
close up of your face.
Yes, I know. I know. I was adjusting the focus on the camera. All right. Let's restart. That's a fun blooper. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tower of Babble podcast. As always, I am Julian Mush. I'm joined by Rachel Wilkinson.
Hi.
And we are going to be talking about today the summer movie wager. I know it's a little late. Typically, the summer movie wager technically ends after Labor Day, which was like 2 months ago. Well,
yeah.
A month and a half, we'll call it.
Welcome to Tower of Babble. We're late with everything always.
Hey. Don't say that out loud. We all work full time. Well, most of us work full-time jobs and or take care of children.
Okay, I was just going to say, like, you have to include me in that. I work more hours than you do right now, so.
Would you consider that as a mother you work 24/7? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Are you working while they're sleeping? Is that how that is that?
He doesn't sleep very long. Okay? He sleeps for like 2 hours at a time and then he wakes up and then I have to cuddle him.
Listen, as a non-father parent.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this seems a little disingenuous to claim that you work 24/7. But
whatever.
You know.
Imagine if your dog woke you up every 2 to 3 hours and needed.
He did wake us up at 5 a.m. the other day for no reason. Like he was just like freaking out at 5 a.m. and it's not clear. We're still not sure why that happened, but anyway. Anywho, so yeah, I guess let's sort out a couple things. Lay a little bit of groundwork here. So yes, we are late technically with the results, but the results came in at the end of after Labor Day. They've been there waiting for us to talk about them. Ahsoka has been on since then, and we were covering that week to week. If you did like that show and were watching it, please go check out our content. That's on the Small Screen Star Wars feed. Or if you're listening to this as part of the main feed, it should be here as well. But that meant that some of the regular shows were taking a back seat. That being said, we're going to get back into a regular swing of things as much as we can, which is why we're going to do this kind of summer movie wager check-in, talk about the movies that were from the summer of 2023 and kind of where they fell into the old box office lottery. But there's a couple other things to note. Obviously, it's October, so as part of our Patreon exclusive film club, we're going to be doing Donnie Darko before the end of the month. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in the Patreon, patreon.com/TowerBabblecast. And then again, back into a more regular cadence. There's no Star Wars shows on the near horizon. We got Skeleton Crew coming at some point. I can never remember when the premiere of that is supposed to be, but it's not imminent. So we got a little bit of time before the next major show. So we'll do some stuff. Go back to cover some of the more traditional movie news stuff. So Netflix raised their prices again.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, how stupid that is, and other things. But mostly, it's just me being annoyed by the state of the streaming world. Seems to be the typical content that we've been putting out on the main feed. But we'll try to spice it up with a few other things. I have actually seen a lot of really interesting movies as of late, including Father of the Bride, which I've never seen before, which is very funny. I also saw Totally Killer on Amazon Prime, which is that like time loop horror comedy. Very
Oh,
funny.
is it good? Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. Loki season 2 has started. There's stuff to talk about there. The Continental, that John Wick show,
Right.
start to talk about. I've also been watching the morning show season 3. Do you have Apple TV Plus, Rachel?
I do not. No, that's the one of the ones that I don't have.
Okay. Because the morning show is an absolutely unhinged television show. Absolutely crazy how much happens in one episode. It's like, I don't want to say it's like a soap opera. It's like much better than that. But
Okay.
they really bite off more than they can chew. It's just a wild ride. That show is. So anyway,
Okay.
there's lots to talk about. We'll get to that eventually. Not today, but there is lots to talk about. So let's get into the summer movie wager of it all. Before we do, just a couple quick things to mention. Follow us on Twitter /X at Tower Babblecast, Facebook.com/Tower Babblecast. We're recording live. Again, some of that technical difficulties continues as I'm working off my work computer here, which means that there's a bunch of work stuff happening in the background for me, but I'll try to ignore that during the show. And I'll have my regular computer back from repairs. This time I actually sent it into Dell to get fixed. And it wasn't cheap. So it's going to come back. We're going to get that fixed and we're getting it back up and running in much more traditional audio video setup. But we're running off of kind of a backup, and it's actually going pretty good. So I'm not too upset. But again, just be aware as listeners, things might be a little bit different for the next little bit until I get my laptop back and we can get back into the swing of things. Patreon. Again, I mentioned that as part of the film club. That's exclusive to Patreon. If you want to help support the show, you can do that and help pay for my laptop to be fixed. At Tower Babblecast on Patreon. So patreon.com/Tower Babblecast. And again, for as little as $5 a month, you get access to our film club. There's a Discord channel a server to join as well to hang out with us. So lots of stuff going on there in the background. So let's get into the summer movie wager. So here's how I'm thinking we're going to break this all down. Okay. I think we cover the movies that were like the top 10 of the year, and we talk about where we put them in our list or if we missed them entirely. And then once we get to the end, we'll reveal the scores and talk about some of the decisions that we made that were maybe less than great. Okay. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay. There's supposed to be technically a prize for the winner. We never agreed on what that would be.
No, we didn't.
As far as do you remember what? Okay, so usually like the way that and this is a game that we play along with the Filmcast folks. So the people over at the Filmcast, they do this every year. They have a website, thesummermoviewager.com. You can play along with that every year too. And so we use that to track our scores. And the way that they do it is that the winner gets to choose a movie for everyone else to watch. So we could do something similar. We'll decide when we get to the end and we reveal the winner. Okay.
Sure. So you know what's funny?
Any thoughts, comments? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm pretty sure I still owe you a case of beer from 2 years ago when you beat me, but then I beat you last year, I'm pretty sure. So we're even now.
Okay. So a case of beer is typically on the line.
Yeah.
I'm very much okay with that as a form of payment. Although I am taking a short dry spell right now. as I do a bit of a cleanse. You know,
Okay.
you want to cleanse every once in a while, right before Halloween. And we actually are heading to Costa Rica in November, so I won't be
Oh,
dry
gotta get
when we get to that point.
shredded.
We'll just put it that way. Well, it's not really. That's not really what it's about. It's more about your gut health, Rachel. It's more
Fair enough.
alcohol is really hard on your digestive system, so you really want to give it some time to recover before you really hit it hard again. Okie doke. So let's get into this. We'll start at number 10. I guess before we get to number 10 on the box office, I'll mention the top three that didn't make. So 11 through 13. At 13 was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I think this movie, which grossed $107 million at the box office, this movie deserved better, in my opinion. I just think it came out a little late in the season for it to have like long legs,
Yeah, yeah.
for this to work for this game. Great movie though. Did you go eventually? Have you had a chance to see it?
No, I haven't, unfortunately. I only got to see one movie over the summer, so just Barbie.
My list of movies I've seen this summer, in theater and not theater, is quite long at this point. If I'm looking at my list, we're getting into like the 30s at
Yeah.
this point.
Holy.
Not all of them, of course, I've seen in the theater, but and I haven't seen a movie in the theater in a while. I've been meaning to get out to see The Creator, which is obviously out in theaters right now. And my girlfriend's gonna go see the Taylor Swift concert. That's like making a bunch of money at the box
Oh,
office.
yes, 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 yes.
The Eras Tour show slash movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't speak highly enough about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It's an absolutely great movie. It's a top tier Ninja Turtles movie, but even just as a like animated film, it's very, very good. It kind of borrows in theme and style from the Spider-Verse movies, but it has a really killer cast. They use actual teenagers to play the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a little bit of a change, but I think it totally works. Although to be honest, I had a moment where I'm in my 30s now. I'm about to turn 34 on the 26th,
Yeah.
and there's things that these children essentially say, these teenagers say in this movie, their lingo that I just didn't understand. I didn't know what they're saying.
That's so funny.
So
You're old now.
it happened
Did
to
they
me.
say
It happened
Riz?
to me.
Was it Riz? I know what that
Yeah,
means.
it was Riz.
Was it actually
It
Riz?
was.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
it was Riz.
You gotta watch
I
more
know what it is now.
you gotta watch more TikTok, because then you'll be all up on the lingo, because I know what all these
I
things
don't.
mean now, so.
Okay, well, you want to inform the people back home what Riz means?
It's our version of, like, swag or swagger, like, it's confidence, like, if he's dripping or he's like, he's dripping in Riz is like, "Oh, he's super confident, he's got swagger, he's."
Where does that even come from?
I don't know, don't ask me where shit comes from, yeah. I don't know where it came from, I just know where it means, because I'm not uncool like you.
Well, okay, fair enough. I also heard that I heard it shortly after on a podcast, and then they explained it, so I feel much better about that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's very fun, and there's some great cameos, and the soundtrack's really awesome. In fact, go listen to the soundtrack if you're into 80s and 90s hip hop. There's a lot of that,
Yeah, that's what I heard, and I
a
was
lot
like,
of Wu-Tang
"That's
actually,
so cool."
surprisingly.
Yeah. But that makes sense though, because Wu-Tang, like, a lot of their songs are all about, like, has a lot of, what am I thinking here? Like, samurai and, like, martial
Sure.
arts and, like, Japanese,
Right,
yeah,
and
like,
obviously the Ninja
samurai
Turtles
fighting and
are
stuff into it.
yeah,
Yeah. Ninjas. Yeah, so.
ninjas. Yeah. All right, so that's at 13. It did not. I don't know if I put it on. Did I put it on my list? Let me double check.
I had it way higher on my list.
I did. I put it as a. I had a dark. It was a dark horse pick for me, and it didn't.
Yeah,
It didn't
I
score.
put it at
Um,
9.
not. Oh well. That's actually not a bad spot for it. It only. I mean, that's not that far off. So
Mhm.
that's a pretty good spot. I mean, you didn't score on it either, but still,
No.
it could have been worse. Um, At number 12 is The Flash, which came in at 108 million. Now, this is a huge box office bomb for DC and Warner Brothers. And it's a bad movie. largely speaking. It's just not good.
Didn't that actor like go nuts? Too? Sorry, that's politically incorrect. I shouldn't say it that way. But isn't he a little loop-de-loop now?
Uh, yeah, yes, he was. They were involved in
Oh, sorry, I did
all
not
sorts
realize.
of extracurricular activities. They got arrested. There's all this stuff. Like, so yeah, they basically weren't able to promote the movie at all. Ezra,
Okay, yeah.
and
Yeah, I thought they got like
it's
arrested
probably
for
okay. It's
robbing a
probably for the
liquor
best
store or
because
something, and yeah, yikes.
yeah, there's like kidnapping charges and
Well,
stuff.
that's
There's sorts of
unfortunate.
weird stuff. I don't
Yeah,
I'm
like
not getting into like
yes, I'm like,
the personal side of things.
no, I thought maybe that's why the movie bombed because people were like, "Whoa, that's too much for me."
I'm sure that didn't help. I'm 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 positive that it was not a positive uh marketing aspect for that movie, but it was
Yeah,
mostly just that like I think people were confused about what DC was doing. Like, is this a
gotcha.
mainline movie? What is this? Does this matter? I know they're rebooting it with this whole James Gunn thing. And
Yeah,
most people probably don't or aren't aware of all that stuff happening. But at the same time, that obviously was something that was going on in the background. There's
right.
probably a lot of factors that ultimately sank the Flash, but ultimately it came in at 108,000. It's not very good. Again, the movie is bad. Like to be
Yeah,
very clear, the movie is very bad. It deserves what it got. Um, and hopefully that means that we can kind of start fresh and clean with a new DC slate sometime next year, maybe with the new Superman movie. But time will tell. We just don't know, and there's lots to talk about on that front. And Jeremy and I obviously like to cover that, so
yeah.
we'll get to that eventually. Um, Embarrassingly, though, and this is before uh, I we knew a lot of information about this movie. I mean, it's been in production for so long. I had put it at number 2 on my
Yeah,
list.
your list is
Gesundheit.
ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it
I had
now
put
and
it
I'm
on
like,
my
okay.
list,
Yeah,
and
your 1 and 2 made me laugh really hard. I was like, "What are you thinking?"
you just cut out that whole time. But I think what you said was my
Oh,
1 and
wait, I think I lost
2
you.
are terrible picks. Can you hear me?
Yeah, they made me laugh. I thought they were yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I you're right. It's like I couldn't the fact that I scored what I scored, my 2, um, is impressive, I think, in my mind. I'll take it on
Yeah.
that pick. Like, anyway, yeah, that was at number 12 in the box office over the summer. Rachel, you can still hear me okay?
Yeah, I think yeah, there might be a little bit of a lag, but I think it's fine.
Okay. Okay, cool. Then we shall continue. All right, so that's The Flash at number 12. At 11 was Fast X, and that's where I put that at number 1 on my
I don't
list.
understand how you thought that that was gonna be the best movie of the
Okay,
summer. Like,
I
I get
here's
it,
the
people like
problem,
Fast
all
and
right?
Furious, but still.
I outthought myself a little bit on this one because the way that this is scored is box office is scored on domestic box office, which is Canada, the United States, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, the other way to calculate box office is international or worldwide gross, which includes both domestic and international. Um, and the fast movies often do really, really, really well internationally because it's got a very diverse cast. It's globetrotting movies typically, and it draws a really large international audience, which means that the Fast X as a franchise is international heavy, and I for whatever reason didn't remember that. I had it like reversed in my head for some reason. I don't know how that
Mm.
happened. But I thought, well, Fast X, it's like the culmination of the end of the franchise. Um, the Fast movies have been number 1 in the past, if I recall. Huge successes, probably internationally, maybe not domestically. So I thought, hey, I'll take a big swing. I'll put Fast X at number 1, and because like it can't fail. I mean, it still made 145 million, which is 35 million or 30 million more than 40 million more approximately than the Flash did, which is the next closest one. and not that far away from number 10. It would have got me 1 point if I'd put it at number 10. Um, but again, it is. Aren't you a little surprised that it didn't crack the top 10? Like, I mean, maybe you're not a Fast and Furious fan.
Um, yeah, I mean, I had it at 7. So, I mean, like, I thought it was gonna be in the top 10, but I definitely didn't think it was gonna be number 1.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Um, yeah, I think I mean, if you look across the board, so if you look at the film cast folks, most people had it at 7 or 6. In
Yeah.
fact, you and were tied for that. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the hosts put it at 7. And the other person put it
Yeah.
at 6. Um, and I put it at number 1 like an idiot. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, those are the movies that didn't crack the top 10. Those were on my list in stupid positions. But was there anything else that you felt like was going to crack the top 10 didn't? Do that
Um,
later when we get to our breakdown our whole list. But
because the ones that yeah, like, it was basically The Flash, and I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in my top 10 list also, but they didn't make it. So, basically, the ones that we already kinda talked about that were all the the movies that were, like, 11, 12,
right.
13, I had in my top 10. So and then I had some stupid ones. I put
Okay.
Oppenheimer in my as a dark horse because I didn't think I was like, "I don't know, it's just another war movie."
Because you
Uh,
yeah. Well, it turns out it was more than just a war movie.
yeah.
But I Dark Horse isn't necessarily a bad place to put a R-rated 3-hour movie. There's typically those movies don't make tons of money,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
obviously, Nope is an exception apparently to that. All right, so let's get into the top 10. Let's this year in the 2023 summer box office, we have Elemental at $153 million domestic. I had it nowhere on my list. I didn't even occur to me to put this movie on my list.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I had it as a dark
and
horse.
you had it at yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you got a point for that. I
I did.
have you did I again, I don't know what movie you did see this movie? You have seen it?
No, but it's kind of like, it's an
Okay.
animated movie, right? Isn't it? It's like that other movie that they made. Crap, what's it called?
Yes. Oh, yes, it's the Pixar movie. So,
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So I figured it would be
are you
I don't
thinking of
know.
the other
A lot
movie
of times those movies
that's like
yeah, with the in your with the girl's brain, and then it has the different emotions, and they're all different colors, like sadness and anger and happiness. It's a very cute movie. But I'm sure this movie isn't like that, but I just think the animation style reminded me of it. Hello? Are you there?
oh,
Oh,
connection lost, reconnecting. Wow.
oh, you were frozen
What
there for a minute, or maybe I was. I'm getting weird audio from you, I'm sorry.
what what a fun episode we're doing.
Sorry,
Can
I
you
can't hear
hear
this. No. I wish you could hear it on my end because it's, like, so slow. It's like, "Roo, roo, roo." I don't know what's happening. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear anything, and your screen is frozen. I hear you. Hello?
Hello. I don't know
Hi.
what happened. It completely broke for me for a
Yeah.
moment there.
Yeah, I was like, it sounded like you were a Martian in a tube.
Okay. Okay. Well, listen. Let's try to pick up where we left off. 10.
Okay.
Elemental. So, Elemental, Pixar movie. Um, in the vein of the emotions one. I'm trying what one's called. One with all the emotions. The Pixar
I
movie.
can't remember what it's called.
Oh my
That's what I
god.
was trying to say, but I was like, I don't know.
And it broke the
Let me
stream
Google
before,
it.
so maybe we shouldn't mention it.
Uh,
Anyway,
uh, uh,
it
uh.
it premiered to
Inside Out.
relatively like middling Inside Out. Right. So this is the same idea except instead of emotions, it's elements this time. How fun.
Yes.
And I haven't seen it. Uh Here's what's happened, right? Pixar, the last few movies like Luca and others, Big Red, um, premiered on Disney Plus. Did not have a theatrical release at all, right?
Right.
And because of that, um, people got pretty used to watching Pixar movies at home, especially for parents with kids where they want to watch the movie over and over and over again. That made a lot of sense. Now they've done different things. They've done like these like premium releases for their movie. Another one where they did premium, kind of these Disney Plus premium releases. This is during COVID, but then after they've also kind of really relegated their movies to streaming first, and there hasn't been Disney Pixar animated movie releases. You can think of the last movie that they released in theaters was Lightyear, and that movie bombed at the most. In fact, people
Right.
don't even
Yeah.
people don't even remember that movie because it is it's really strange choices that movie sort of decided to make with that movie. Like they they decided that they wanted to tell this really confusing, somewhat a little bit adult. Like there's definitely alien and aliens like illusions and stuff in there. Um, Story about the toy from Toy Story, but not tell the story of the toy played by Tim Allen. Instead, it's the story it's the story of the movie that the toy is based on. So that was super
Right.
confusing and it didn't make
Yeah.
any money. So
Yeah.
Elemental comes out, people see the opening weekend numbers and it's like, "Oh no, another box office or Pixar," but it had legs. People kept going back to it, you know, throughout the summer. And because of that, it still managed to hang on to a top 10 spot, finishing at 153 million at number 10. So I'll watch it on Disney Plus eventually. Is kind of how I see it,
Yeah.
which is probably how most people think about it, to be honest. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to number 9. Or actually, do you have any thoughts on Elemental? Is it like
No,
is that interest? Are you a Pixar
not
person?
really. I definitely like those movies. They're good movies even for me to like put on during the day now because I have a kid. He can't really watch
Mm-hmm.
TV, but I don't know. I just like to watch cute movies sometimes. So I'm a big Pixar fan. So
Okay, so what's your favorite
uh,
Pixar movie?
um oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot now because I get Pixar and Disney ones mixed up. I gotta say, man, it's like
Not Toy
Up.
Story?
Is Up Pixar?
Yes, Up is Pixar, yeah. Mhm.
Like, that's so cute, and, yeah, and then obviously, like, the go-to Monsters Inc. is so good.
Yeah, I for me, I really love, Luca, which is a movie from over the pandemic that is just criminally underrated in my opinion, and I love, Coco, which is like
Okay, I
that,
have
like
not seen those.
Coco is so good. You need to see Coco, and you need to see Luca too. Both actually are great. So add those to your Disney Plus lists.
Fair
Of
enough.
those because everyone's seen the main ones. The
Well, yeah,
Carses
of
of the
course,
world.
yeah.
You know. In fact, I've actually never seen Cars, and I have
I
no
actually
interest.
haven't either.
I have no interest in seeing that movie. Um, I I mean, it just came out at the wrong time. I was not the right age for that, and talking cars does not appeal to me as a even as an adult who's connected to my inner child. It just does not appeal to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so continuing on to number 9, this is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Are you a Transformers franchise fan?
I liked the first, like, few, but then I
Mhm.
stopped watching them. I don't think I saw
Yeah,
past, like, the second
there's, like,
one.
5 of
Yeah,
them.
I'm like, I didn't really care anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's, like, 5 mainline ones, then there's a spinoff for Bumblebee, which is actually really
Right.
good.
Yeah.
And then there's now, of course, this Rise of the Beasts kind of spin-off as well. So there's many, many. The first one, the first original Transformers Michael Bay movie is great. Still think that holds up. The effects are great.
Is that the one with
And
Shia LaBeouf in it?
yes, well, the first
Yeah.
3 have Shia, but
Yeah.
the first one specifically with Shia
Yes.
and Megan
And Megan
Fox.
Fox, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
she's a
entertaining.
weirdo now.
Well, yeah, I mean, which celebrity isn't though? To be
Yeah,
honest.
it's fair. See, I figured this one would do, like, lower top 10s because I had it at 10.
Yeah, and I had put it at 7, and
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, that's a smart place to put it. The cynical take is that Transformers movies always make money, so they should be on the list. And I think that's
That's kinda what I
fair.
was thinking.
Even when they're terrible, like even when the movies are bad, like we'll put them out there and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Um, but I mean, for me, it says that you put it at 7. Are you sure put it at 10? Am I crazy? Or did you get
No, I
7
put it at
points for
10.
that?
I got 7 points for it
Uh, uh,
because I
oh,
put it at 10
7
and it
points.
was
Okay, I
9,
missed
so I got 7 points. Yeah.
Um, right. Okay, that makes sense. That's pretty good. That's pretty good actually, getting 7 points for that. I also got 7 points for that. So I mean, not not
Oh.
to brag or anything, but we both did pretty well on that one.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, so I actually did see Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I didn't watch it in theaters. I kind of regret that. I watched it at home. I streamed it, rented it. Um, Pretty entertaining movie, I would say. I did like it. Um, but I also couldn't tell you anything that happens in it. I The thing is, like, I wanted to be excited. I wanted to be excited about it because it brings in the Maximals from
Mm,
the CG animated show from the 90s. Um, Beasties or Beast Wars. Beasties for Canadians. We weren't allowed to have wars in the title, I guess, but Beasties,
okay.
Beast Wars. Um, which I have a massive soft spot for as a Transformers fan. Like it was what the Transformers were to me as growing up as a kid because I wasn't growing up in the 80s, right?
Right.
So I was like, oh yeah, bring it on! A transforming a cheetah and a transforming gorilla and all that stuff, really cool. But they are like largely have like no most of the Maximals like Cheetor and and Rhinox and all these others have like no no character. They basically, in fact, I don't think Rhinox even speaks a single line in the movie. So that was extremely disappointing to me. The effects weren't as good um, as you'd expect from a Transformers movie, which is a little disappointing. But
Okay.
it is fun to have those those
Yeah.
characters together.
I figured, like, if you're doing a Transformers movie, you kinda need to have the effects nailed down. Like, isn't that movie all effects? Wait, are you still there? Yeah. Sorry.
Yep, I'm still here. Sorry, I loading something on IMDb and then it started to queue out.
Oh,
But
weird.
yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. It doesn't hold really a candle to the effects work from the mainline series, which are you know top tier, if not some of the best visual effects we've ever seen. That being said, a lot of that stuff was like obfuscated by like really shaky camera work and very fast cuts, so you don't really get
Mm.
like really good looks at those things. From time to time, of course, you do, but um, what they do here is they do a lot of camera trickery, so they don't have to show the transformations as much. Um,
That's lame.
and it is a little bit more lame. I just yeah, it's not as fun.
The movie's called
But
Transformers, you can't just cut out the parts of them transforming. That's ridiculous.
but so like, but the first time that Optimus transforms, right? And he's in his traditional like flat front truck look,
Yeah.
and he like transforms while he's like rolling through a parking lot, and it like the camera like pans behind cars and or other trucks, so you can't see him transform, and it's like that's a little lame. It's kind of like it visually look kind of cool, like the way that they have it framed, but it is a little
Right.
lame, generally speaking. Anyway, that's number 9. I don't know what Transformers as a franchise really goes from here. I mean, they do set up room for a sequel and that kind of stuff, but it just feels like it's kind of run out of steam.
Yeah.
And so keep an eye on that and see where it goes. All right, number 8. This one is close to my heart. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Why do you
See,
why?
I'm
I
so
can hear you
pissed off
rolling your
about this.
eyes.
You know why I'm so mad about fucking Mission Impossible? Because it was either last year or the year before where I was like, "Fuck that movie." No,
Oh,
no, it
it must
wasn't.
have been 2 years ago.
Was it Mission? Yeah, it was one of them. It was either Mission Impossible or it was that other Tom Cruise one, with the
Oh, Top
planes.
Gun?
Top
Yeah,
Gun.
Top
Because
Gun.
I
That
got
movie's
mad about it
awesome.
and I didn't put it high on my list because I was like, "Pff, Top Gun, like Tom Cruise. Who cares?" So then this year I was like, okay, like people like Mission Impossible. I'm gonna have to put it higher on my list than I wanted to. So I put it way higher than I wanted to. And see, this is why. This is why I hate Tom
This
Cruise.
is and this is
It
and
cost
this
me
is
points.
and this is what you get. So here's the
Yeah.
thing though, like
I put it at
the
3.
ish- the Impossible movies don't make as much money as they should. You know,
Mm,
they're extremely entertaining. The stunts are awesome. It's just like exciting to be at a Mission Impossible movie, right? It's a fun time at the
right.
movie theater, but they just don't make a ton of money. Like it again, this is 170 million. I don't know off the top of my head because I can't load anything without breaking the stream, but um, typically that sounds about what I recall about average what Mission Impossible movies take in, right? It's
Yeah.
probably lower. Likely, pre-pandemic, a Mission Impossible movie is probably bringing in closer to 300 or 400,000, 400 million. But I mean, at just short of 200 million for Mission Impossible. I mean, again, not great, but like not terrible either. Number 8's not high, probably not as high as they want it to be. I think it's a
Yeah.
really entertaining movie. It's it's up there with some of the better Mission Impossible movies for me. It's probably like if I was ranking it somewhere in the top 4, I would say the top 4 Mission Impossible. I don't know what the actual order I have it listed as. Ghost Protocol probably number 1. Sorry, no, the last one that came out with the nukes, that one was number 1 for me, and then Ghost Protocol, then something else, then this one, then, like, number 1 is probably in there somewhere, and then anyway, there's so many of them now. We're at,
I have never seen a Mission Impossible movie.
really? Oh my god,
Never.
you need to watch the first one is so good.
No.
It's a De Palma movie. It's, like, so what do you mean, no?
I don't like Tom Cruise's face. I can't watch movies with him in it,
Oh.
especially when it's just Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise stuff, which is like all Mission Impossible movies are. I can't do it.
Alright, well, Jeremy and I did a film club for Mission Impossible 2. So if you want to see us talk about the worst Mission Impossible movie, which is the John Woo one,
Maybe I'll watch
um,
that one because I know it's bad.
yeah, I mean, watch that one first, and it only just goes up from there. But you can also start with the first one, and it's pretty amazing for considering when it came out. Anyway, Mission Impossible at number 8. I would have liked to seen it higher. I got 7 points for this. You got 3. I'm trying to
Yeah.
see where I put it on my list. I put
You
it
had it at
at
7?
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So it wasn't off by much. I would have liked to see it obviously. Ideally would have been one better idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, just as a fan of the franchise, I would have liked to see it perform a little bit better. From one franchise to another, actually from one franchise to another, we have at number 7 Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We both got 7 points for this pick.
Yeah, I think we both had it in the
What's your
same
history with Indiana
spot.
Jones?
Okay, so I really like Indiana Jones movies. I don't know. Maybe it also stems from obviously I like Harrison Ford because he's Han Solo. Um, but I definitely
Put it
grew
at
up.
6.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I had it at 6. I think you had it at 7. Oh no, yeah, we both had it at 6. So yeah, I assumed it would kind of be like middle of the pack because
Yeah.
Indiana Jones movies, I don't know. They usually do pretty
Harrison
well. I
Ford
don't
is
think that the Crystals what was the newest
old.
one that they did
Oh,
before this
Crystal
one?
Skull, which is
Yeah.
a million years ago. Yeah, it feels like.
It, yeah. But didn't they do I thought they did another one. Like there's the old ones and then I thought they did one not that many years ago, probably like 10 years ago now. But
Uh,
I don't know.
yeah.
I can't
So
remember.
there's you have, of course, the original Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Oh, sorry, and
Yes.
not the Last Crusade is
Temple of
the
Doom.
and Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then, of course, you have
Yes.
Crystal
Okay.
Skull, which is no one likes,
Okay.
and then this one.
Yes. This one. Okay, yeah. So like I assumed it was like middle of the pack because I'm like, I know the first like 3 ones are kind of classics and people really like them, but then that other one kind of bombed, the fourth one. So I was like, I don't know, this one's could be hit or miss. So
Yeah, I mean, the first 3, starting with Raiders, then Doom, then, Last Crusade, are kind of like a perfect trilogy, and then
yeah,
they decided that they wanted to make another one, and that movie's not great. I was gonna
yeah,
say sucks. It doesn't suck, it's just not like, it's so ridiculous. It does stuff, the term "nuking the fridge" comes from that movie because Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones survives a nuclear explosion by
right. Going in
going
a
into a
fridge.
fridge.
Right, right, right. I forgot
So
about that. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, so it has, and it also, speaking of Shia, also had Shia LaBeouf, and again,
Yes.
that movie was largely panned, and then the franchise was laid dormant for years and years and years.
Mhm.
Um, but because Harrison Ford is in his 80s and he wants to end all of his franchises all at, before he dies,
Yeah.
he died in as Han in Episode 7. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Right? And then then he appeared and died as, Deckard in, Blade Runner 2049. And now he's come as to return as Indiana Jones as an 80-year-old man, for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And, uh, I gotta say, I really, 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 really enjoyed this movie, like, genuinely loved it. Um, I think it's a perfect No, okay, let me rephrase that. It's not a perfect movie, and it's not a perfect Indiana Jones movie either, but it is a really, really good one that manages to nail the tone. It's wacky in the right ways without getting too silly.
Yeah.
Um, it deals with legacy and um, pulls in the right performances and the right characters, and I introduces interesting new ones. I liked the story. I liked the where it goes. I did not expect the the twist at the in the third act, which is very wild but pretty fun. So I really enjoyed it. I personally have. I know there was like a lot of like back and forth, and some people really panned it, but personally, I think people need to get out of their own butt because this movie's fun. Indiana Jones, you have an 80-year-old playing an 80-year-old, but
Yeah.
really doing like he's in great shape. Like he's in great shape. They, and he's keeping up with this with the rest of the cast. He totally nails the vibe. Like I don't feel like he nailed the Han Solo vibe really coming back
Yeah. Yeah.
in episode 7. It's a shame. It just doesn't feel like the same character. Whereas here, he really does feel like Indiana Jones, and you can tell that he has, I think, a little bit more fondness for this character than maybe some of his others that he's played over the years. So
Yeah.
yeah, you need to. So I don't know. You've seen only one movie this year in the theaters. I assume it wasn't this one.
It was not that one. No, I only saw Barbie.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. We're a little ways off. Okay, so next up on the list is number 6. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one. No one had it on their list
Yeah.
because
What is this?
okay, this is sound. This is the Sound of Freedom or Sound of Freedom. No, the 181 million, almost 182 million. This movie is, without getting political, is made by a bunch of wackadoos who are trying who are basically peddling a bunch of bullshit. And
Okay.
we're not going to
What
give
is
it
it?
any attention.
What it no, can you just like what is it about? Sorry.
It's about child sex trafficking. Um,
Oh, that stuff. Okay.
but it the way that it's positioned and it's presented
Right.
and
Okay.
told is just it's a lot of bullshit. So
So how did it get
um
so many how did it make so much money? Is it cuz from
they
the other like
they had
crazies
a
watching it?
yes, partially, yes. So it had they did this interesting marketing thing where they basically complained out from the very beginning that, "Oh, the left-wing media is silencing us, yada yada yada." So
Mm.
they had like the Trump crowd behind them.
Oh, they got people
And
all riled up like they don't want you to see this movie.
exactly.
Okay,
And
I
then they had this
gotcha.
thing where like, "Hey, buy a ticket, but then also buy one for," like they made this thing where you could like buy a bunch of tickets for other people even if they didn't go. It's like I don't it's kind of like a pay it forward type thing where like
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
buy but again, like people would go and they would buy blocks of tickets because, oh, well, they got to support this
I
uh
see.
this
I
thing. So it's
see.
like I don't
Weird.
know. It the fact that it landed
Six?
at number 6 is really very unfortunate in my opinion. It
Hmm.
again, we're not going to don't see it. It's bullshit. Don't watch this movie.
Okay.
It's a shame that it made it on this list and we have to mention it at all. All right. On to number 5, a movie that Kara keeps asking me to watch, but I just really don't want to. The Little Mermaid, which is the live action remake
Right.
of
Why
the
don't you wanna
animated
watch
cartoon
it?
from the 90s. I just find that all of the Disney remakes could to be completely utter soulless cash grabs that
Mm,
serve no purpose and are
fair.
pretty boring. So
Yeah.
that's my take on that. I don't know.
See, you know what? I put it on one day and then just wasn't paying attention. So I turned it off, not because it was bad, but just because I was busy and I do want to actually like watch it one day. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I felt like this one, I thought it was going to do just a touch better than it did. I had it at 4.
You scored
Um,
7 points for this. I got
yeah.
3. I'm guessing I put it lower on my list because I just don't believe in these movies, but uh,
Yeah. I remember
or
specifically when
maybe
I
I was
was
being cynical and I put it higher up on my list.
maybe.
I
I
put it at 8.
specifically remember having Oh, go ahead. Oh, you put it at 8. Yeah, okay. Um,
No, I said
I
I put
remember having a, like, a
it at
conundrum with
8,
myself.
which means I didn't have a lot of faith in it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I remember, like, looking at this list and I, like, had trouble placing this one because I was like, it was between, like, this one and kind of Barbie on, like, where I wanted to put them, whether I was gonna swap them or not, and I thought Little Mermaid was gonna do better than Barbie, so I put it a little bit
Yeah.
higher. But, yeah,
Boy,
I
do
don't know.
you sound stupid now. Just kidding.
I know, hey?
Um, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I don't think anyone really predicted Barbie to be um as this good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or at least
I figured it was
perform
gonna
as
be
well as
good,
it
like,
did.
I had it high compared to, like, what some of these other people had it,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, not high enough.
Well, yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, the summer movie. So Barbie made $612 million domestic
Yes,
and
why
over $1 billion internationally. Um, and it's more. It's like just less than double what number 2 made. Right, and we'll
yeah,
get to that eventually. But it's so much. It's like completely distorts all the numbers because if you look at the rest of the numbers, 380, 350, 310,
yeah,
298, it's not that great of a summer, relatively speaking,
right,
for box offices. With some exceptions, obviously, in the top 3. Um, but yeah, Barbie just like completely bucks that trend. And again,
yeah,
we'll get to it in a little
yeah,
bit,
we'll get
but
to it.
it is baffling. Back to Little Mermaid for a moment. Um, I just feel like there's words that I heard rumor today on Twitter was that Disney's now planning on doing a Princess and the Frog live action remake and a Frozen live action.
They
Rachel,
just came out
Frozen.
with those
That movie
movies.
just came out. I know,
Yeah,
I know.
like, that's
So it's like, what are we even doing
yeah.
here?
That's kinda stupid because 'cause I'm like, these live action remakes, I kind of thought that they were more for I don't know if you they still say this, but, like, when the movies are, like, in the Disney vault, like, the old
Right.
school movies that, like, we grew up with, right? They're basically just trying to get money out of us, like, our age individuals and a little bit older, like
Yeah.
Gen X and millennials taking their, like, kids to go see these remakes, these live action
100%.
remakes. Um,
100%.
so
Soulless
yeah,
cash
it's
grab, as I mentioned,
so
because those
weird to
originals
me.
exist.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely weird to me. Like, I know that they're I know they're making Snow White. I know there's a lot of controversy about it. Um, live action, so I don't know. It's yeah, we'll see how much longer they keep
Oh,
doing
yeah, the
these
Snow
for.
White thing, and that's the other thing, it just invites all this controversy too, because Little Mermaid
Yeah.
had a bunch of controversy because they cast a woman of color in the lead role, and
Yeah,
it's like,
which doesn't bug me at all. Like, it's just
it
like,
doesn't make sense. It doesn't, but we're talking about mermaids here, people. These
mermaids
aren't
aren't real.
real creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
actually a great opportunity to add a person of color, like, more
yes,
people of color, like, into the Disney realm because there was not a lot of that, obviously, in that time frame of these movies coming out.
exactly.
So, yeah, it's I don't know. People just need to chill out a little bit.
And so, like, the number 1 grossing of these remakes is still Lion King, and the Beyoncé of it all probably doesn't hurt that, but I just I haven't seen a lot of these. I have given some a chance, but I liked these movies, like the animated versions when I was a kid, but nothing
Yeah.
has no not once has these movies, Lion King with the exception, being one that grabbed my attention enough to go see it. But
Yeah.
none of these movies really have really and they're targeting it at me and my, my cohorts, you and I
Yeah. Yeah.
and people who it's like so I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too cynical now to let Disney sell me the same thing over and over and over and
Right.
over again, and I'm not interested. So I don't know. Maybe it's good. I've heard that she's a great singer. That's all I know. But it came in at number 5. It did make a ton of money at almost 300 million.
Yeah. I had it at
Beats
at
me
4.
why. I heard the movie's not very good, to be honest. That's what I heard, but I don't.
Yeah.
I can't speak to it. Okay. Number 4, getting closer to the top here. Oppenheimer at 310 million. Now, this again, important to remember, not just first of all, not just some war movie.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
is where
thing.
I fucked up. This was, like,
Yeah,
probably one of my
yeah.
biggest fuck ups this year.
I think if you had literally put this anywhere on your top 10, you would have got more points than that and would have beat
Oh,
me.
yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
would've probably beat the first place guy if I had put
Yeah, you would have been
Oppenheimer somewhere
you
proper.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Um so Oppenheimer, important to remember, rated R, 3-hour long movie, black and white, right? Not like not typically those ingredients don't typically pack in also it's a biopic. It's not really an action movie. And
Yeah.
I mean
'Kay, all
it
of
just
these were reasons why I was like, "This movie's not gonna be in the top
yeah.
5." I was like, "Okay." I do really like that actor though, Cillian Murphy, and I know,
Yes.
like, he's so good, and I just watched all of Peaky Blinders recently, so I
I
probably
tried to
would've
watch
put it
that show.
higher.
I
You
really
should give it
try
another chance,
I
it's
really
really good.
tried, and I can't do it.
Put
I
subtitles on.
can see the scene that I that's not fair. I did understand what they were saying.
Oh, okay.
Even though they were speaking a thick Irish accent. I is it Irish or British? I don't remember.
No, it's more it's British, yeah, but
Okay, it's just
they're gypsies, so they kinda got a little bit of a different
they got a
it's
different
heavier.
vibe going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I again for that show, I just could see the seams. Like I kind of knew what they were going for, and I'm sure there's twists, and it's kind of like with Yellowstone, where I just I know what this show is. I don't need to watch it. I know I can I get everything I need from it just existing,
Fair
Like,
enough.
hey,
It's
there's a
just so good,
cowboy
though.
show. I don't know. I It's like again, it's in the same vein as Suits for me, by the way, which is a show that I will never watch because I know exactly what the show is without ever
I
having seen it.
always make it, like, partway through the seasons of Suits, and then I, like, stop watching for a day, and then I just quit watching it. It happened
Yeah,
again
I
recently. Yeah.
the that's really funny. Just on a Suits tangent. There's I saw all these articles or all these headlines, I guess, in on Twitter over the during the strikes, right? So the writer strike is done,
Mhm.
but the actor strike is still on. Um, and of how Suits just rakes in the viewers on Netflix, like just unbelievable
Gotcha.
viewership numbers on Netflix. And it just kind of saddens me a little bit because like it's not a good show, and I don't understand what it is about that show that pulls in so many people. Like what it's is it because it's just like an easy watch or something? Like
Yeah,
I don't know. And it
I'd
has
say so
Meghan
'cause
Merkel in it or
yeah,
whatever her name is.
I can get through, like, the first, like, couple seasons, and then I get bored. So, I don't know, I feel like at the beginning, it's kind of it catches your attention because the storyline's pretty good right off the start. But then, yeah, it just, like, eventually as it goes on, it just feel like it's droning on. It's, like, the same
It's
thing
the
over and over and
same
over
thing
again.
over and over.
Yeah, so I
Exactly.
just
So
get
yeah.
bored. But I mean, like, that first season kinda, like, hooks you in, and then I guess if you're just hooked on it, people just keep watching it,
I
right?
don't know.
So,
I'm
I
just
don't
never
know.
gonna watch that show. The thing,
Yeah,
you
that's fair.
cannot pay
Fair.
me to do it. So anyway, Oppenheimer. I did a pilgrimage to see this movie. I went and drove to Regina. It's a 5-hour drive from here to see it in IMAX
Why did
on
you do that? Oh, right, because you wanted to see an IMAX. Okay.
yeah, IMAX 70 millimeter film. So I saw it on film on an IMAX screen. Oh, hold on. Can you still hello? Hello? Oh man. Sorry about this, everyone. Yeah, I added you back in. Okay. So I'm gonna restart that recording. I don't know why that happened. Okay, so where I was talking about Oppenheimer, my pilgrimage. So yeah, I saw it in 75 millimeter IMAX. There's only 30 screen. I don't need to beat this to death. We released a whole like travel blog on our Patreon about this, but um, I it was worth it for me in my opinion. It was an experience. They're not just not something you get to do very often. You don't get to see film projected very often anymore in general. Never mind IMAX film. Never mind, you know, um, an epic like what Christopher Nolan put together here for um, for Oppenheimer. So for me, like I'll probably always remember this movie, but for different reasons than most people would. You know. Oh, you can hear me double. Hold on. Let me. No, that's okay. Let's see. How do I fix that? I don't know how to fix that. Um, n- no. Um, yeah, you just gonna have to deal with it for now. You probably it's gonna break again anyway, probably. So we'll have to reload eventually. Um, this is yeah. This again. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So you can't even get mad. You know. All right. So yeah. I really did enjoy Oppenheimer. The movie itself, I can understand why people would might be a little bit turned off. Just by its length and its kind of its subject matter, but I think it's a really important movie. Like I think it really provides a lot of context for the post atomic world that we live in, right? We have always, is from the moment we were born, have lived in a world where at any moment someone having a with their hand on a button could destroy the world with nuclear weapons. And I think that there's like an anxiety around that we don't really reckon with on a regular basis. And this movie attempts to do that, explain where, you know, why we did that. Why did we make a bomb of this magnitude, right? That's so deadly. It explores these ideas in such an interesting way. Um, and and Chris Nolan is a brilliant filmmaker, and he believes in the movies being seen on a big screen. So hey, I'm a big movie buff. I'll drive a couple hours, and I do it for a football game. I can do it for a movie. It's the same length of time, 3 hours. So um, you know, go drive down there. It makes me regret lost our IMAX screen here in Winnipeg, but I think I forgot how big IMAX screens are. In a true IMAX screen, it really is quite impressive. And so I would recommend those who have the opportunity to see true IMAX to use that opportunity, because you never know when it might disappear for you. Um, oh, it's been gone for years. Porter's Place killed it. Yeah, but they really wanted it to work. I agree. Literally anywhere else, it would still probably be in business. Like I truly believe that. Yeah. Um. Anyway, true shame. It's I it if I knowing what I know now, I would have gone to see Top Gun in IMAX. I would have driven there to see it. But anyway, that's Oppenheimer. It made really big money as a part of this whole Barbenheimer experience, right? I think it really rode on the coattails of Barbie, a movie that's obviously much more broadly appealing, to kind of pull it up, right? A rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. So I imagine that's where it came from, but it's hard to say really why is it the Nolan name? Was it the Barbie thing? Maybe it's just kind of like a combination of all these things at the same time coming together to create an experience that ultimately made a ton of money. I mean, fourth it's not breaking any records at 310 million, but it did. I think it is brushing up against rated R IMAX numbers and all those things. So, um, I don't, I'm not sure if it's the highest grossing rated R movie of all time, but if it's not, it's certainly high up there on the list. So, well, and there's whole. I guess I don't know if they track that specifically. Black and white is interesting because the whole movie isn't technically in black and white. There's other moments that aren't. Yeah. And obviously, I don't know how you'd. Yeah. And technically, Schindler's List also has moments that aren't in black and white, but so I don't know how you judge that. Anyway, any thoughts on Oppenheimer? You just regrets, wish you put it higher on your list. Ooh, I see. I see. I see. And nailed it. And yeah, yeah. Well, actually, no one nailed it. No one got it exactly where I've been. I think people were expecting it to do well and appear in the top 10, but not top 5. So well, hey, 1 point's that exactly. 1 point is still better than none. All right, so that takes us into the top 3. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the culmination of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy work, right? And I'm, going on a limb here. I don't know if I said this. I really cooled on Volume 2 over the years. I just don't really have like strong recollection of that movie, but Volume 3 is freaking awesome. It's so fun, and and an emotional gut punch. Like it really plays on the heartstrings. Um I had I nailed this one at number 3. I put it at 3, but that's only because I put those other stupid movies ahead of it. Fast X and the Flash. Um and I think any Marvel movie of this scope and scale is going to be in the top 5, right? So I'm not surprised that it ended up here. Happy that I nailed it. I was a little worried that it was going to be number 1, and I was going to, and everyone, because a lot of people put it at number 1. And rightfully so. But you know, 400 million is nothing to shake a stick at, and or 350 million. Apologies. Um, and again, I just really liked it. There's a little, I think, a little bit of kind of like, it was like everyone was coming out of it saying it was so good, and then it kind of a little bit of a pushback on that. But I think largely it's really well liked. It's a great capper for that trilogy. Now James Gunn's off to go do DC stuff, and if I must say, it does buck the trend of some of the less than stellar MCU movies as of late. So it's definitely the best of the most recent batch, and it's probably not even close. Um, any other thoughts on Guardians? Yeah, on Disney Plus. Yeah, right. That's fun. That's a fun twist. Then you probably weren't expecting it to be a Rocket Raccoon movie. Then, yeah, yeah. I mean, turns out origin stories are like still very they still work, So and this is obviously a twist on one, but they tell the Rocket Raccoon origin story essentially, and it is a heartbreaking one. As most of these superhero origin stories are, these secret origins are typically sad, but this one particularly. And then it leans on kind of the team element and how they can come together and save their friend, and it is, you could say it's a little pat, or it's a little manipulative or whatever, but I, I just think I think it's really entertaining. I think it's really funny. Drax continues to be hilarious, right? And and then of course, like those emotional moments, though manipulative, are really satisfying to watch. So again, I really love this movie. It's certainly in my. I don't know where I'm going to place it at the end of the year. We got to start thinking about that on our lists. But really enjoyable, and I'm happy that it landed. I'm obviously stoked about the points I got for it, but more just glad that it a good movie did well. And again, bucking that trend. So yeah, 100%, 100% because my list was not. It was looking pretty weak. Yeah, you have a strong list, but you also didn't even put Oppenheimer on your list. So can you even really make that argument? Yeah, and I explained my reasoning on that. Okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, so let's move on to the top two. So, Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse, another animated movie, but this movie freaking rocks. It, as the kids say, it fucks. It is. I don't know if they still say that, but it's really, really, really good. Um, it it's complex. It's again, similar to Guardians. It has these like this deep emotional center. Um, and what they do with um Spider-Man's story here is both unexpected, but also like a perfect follow-up to the original. It ends on a cliffhanger though, spoilers, I guess. And you got to get it. You got to see it. I mean, both TMNT and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse are a great double feature in my opinion, but Spider-Verse is freaking just so good. Like it nails the action, right? It's got this like really fun visual style, which from the first movie, but it really amps that up, um, and leans into more of Gwen Stacy's story, right? Spider Gwen, and that again that talking about these emotional cores. So it's got one for Spider-Man, it's got one for Spider-Gwen. And they both interweave in a really satisfying way. And then it introduces this concept of like all these spider people from across this multiverse, even more so than the first movie did. And it's just so there's like, every single frame of this movie is full of cameos and fun Easter eggs, but it really figures out what makes the Spider-Man character work and then digs at that. And then it introduces a really fun character that, as a villain, who you think is kind of silly at first, in the spot, but becomes this very intimidating and kind of scary presence by the end of the movie. Now, again, it ends on a cliffhanger, and the third movie is probably still years and years away. They I don't think the script is done as far as I understand it. They certainly haven't started work on production, and these movies take a long time to make. So, originally the third movie was scheduled for next year. The strikes got in the way of that a little bit, but realistically speaking, it's probably still 2, maybe 3 years off, which is painful at the end with a cliffhanger. But there was a lot of those. The Fast X also ended on a cliffhanger. Um, like, fair enough, whatever. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 also ended on a cliffhanger. So, yeah, it's just very similar. Like, it's just not. It's been a lot of the three major movies that one of them didn't make the top 10, but just barely didn't make it. At 11. And on these like very abrupt, like, hey, the story will continue next time, which is not really a thing. Like, even the MCU movies don't really do that. Like, even though every movie leads into the next one, you don't have these like stiff, hard breaks in the story that like we got with these. I don't know. It's fascinating. I don't really like it. Is what I'm learning. I don't really like it as a viewer. I would like a more satisfying conclusion. Surprisingly, the ones that do it, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 tells a very complete story, and then despite it ending on a cliffhanger, still feels very much like a singular movie, right? Whereas both Spider-Man and Fast X feel like they're just part of a larger story. So, you know, yeah, well, and I won't see Suits or Yellowstone. So we're yes, it does because it's the first part. There's one more. It's one more. Well, it depends. Which one's the last one you liked? Fast and Furious is really good. What, Tokyo Drift? Okay, well, first of all, that movie's pretty good. Second of all, it relaunched the movie after that, Fast and Furious, which is the fourth movie, relaunched the franchise, and that movie's great. And Fast Five is also great. So, you could argue that it starts to jump the shark basically as soon as that we get to Fast Six or Furious Six or whatever it's called. Uh, well, yeah, you don't. I wouldn't suggest watching them all back to 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 back. Oh, didn't you tell us that your baby wasn't sleeping very much? Didn't you just telling us that? Oh, right. Oh, it sounds yeah, the best life. Yeah. In chronological order of release or in timeline order? Oh, interesting. So you started with the first Avenger? Yeah, the first Captain America. Captain America the first Avenger. Yeah, that's the name of it. Yeah. So Captain America first Avenger, then I'm guessing it's what's it? The one in the 90s, Captain Marvel is the next one? Cuz that one's set in the 90s. I don't know. Well, see, so you're fine with watching 25 movies or whatever that is. It's some crazy number at this point. But 8 Fast and Furious movies is too many? It's 10 actually now, but yeah, fair enough. Um, Spider-Man. That is pretty bold. Put it at number 1. No one did that. And you would have been right if it wasn't for Barbie. But and the thing is, like, it deserves all of this. Like, first of all, the first Spider-Man won an Oscar for Best Animated Picture that year. I wouldn't be surprised if this one also wins an Oscar. Um, and it's just, it's pure entertainment. It's more complex than you would think for an animated film. I think people look down on animation. This is no, not that they should, but they do. Um, and that animation is just a medium. You can tell any story. Doesn't have to be childish just because it's animated. And so what they're able to accomplish through animation is just so visually, it's like a feast of the eyes, right? So, and then again, this like just what the how they accomplished this strong emotional core is also really impressive. Now, apparently, the wasn't great to work on the movie. Apparently, the production was quite stressful. And there's lots of crunch and long overtime, unpaid, and stuff like that. Hopefully that'll be worked out for the next movie. And that's part of the reason why I think the next one's probably not in full swing production because there was some backlash about that. Anyway, so that's Spider-Man. All right. So at number 1, we have Barbie, which I think we could all have predicted was gonna land. I see. Here's the thing. You got 3 points for it. I got 3 points for it. I think what what did I put it? Where did I? Okay. So I think we thought it was gonna do well. I mean, we both thought it was top 5 material, right? I know, and most of the rest of the film cast folks, and I think that first of all, I mean, I don't know, that is crazy, and I haven't listened to their. I've been holding off listening on to their recap of their results episode until we've finished ours, but I have to imagine that they're spend the whole episode just kicking themselves for that because I think I think it was pretty obvious that even at the time when we were putting this list together, Barbie was still ways out. It was still months out, and even at the time had a sense that it was gonna be pretty good because the marketing for it was just unreal. Like building out a whole Barbie dream house in Malibu and like all the and like the just the the cast was so involved and it was it was really impressive how like they spent a lot of money on marketing, no doubt. I mean, this is what you get when you spend millions and millions of dollars on marketing a movie. But at the same time, Greta Gerwig had a track record of making interesting movies. So I knew that it was probably not going to be just this cheap cash grab, right? We had a sense that there was more to it than just the Margot Robbie of it all. Not that that hurts. And then and then yeah, she is really and very likable. Yeah, very likable person, easy to get behind. And same thing with Ryan Gosling, right? Like who doesn't like Ryan Gosling? So you got this like really stellar cast. You've got a recognizable one of the biggest brand names of all time, and then you've got a talented director behind it. So a pretty good mix. In retrospect, obviously, it's kind of like when you lay it out like that. Maybe it should have been everyone should have been putting it at number 1. But I think there was maybe a little bit of hesitancy to say, well, it is still a movie based on a toy. So how good can it really be? Right. But I guess, and the cynical side of me is like, I couldn't put it at number 1 because it is a movie based on a toy, but like Transformers was number 1 year over year at the box office. And those are movies based on toys too. So, maybe it's a little sexist of me to make that assumption, but here's the thing. So we drove out to see Oppenheimer. Obviously, it came out the same weekend. We saw Barbie in theaters in Regina that same weekend. People were dressed up. A bunch of people dressed up in pink. Kara and I had a pink T-shirt made up for Barb that said Barbenheimer. Had a fun, kind of unique poster on the back and all that kind of stuff. So we had a great time. We saw it twice in theaters. We went to see it again once we came back because the theater we saw it in Regina wasn't that great. And absolute blast. Super hilarious movie, right? Like one of the funniest, probably the funniest movie of the summer. Um, Ryan Gosling steals the show, in my opinion. He's just like, and like, yeah, it's a movie about Barbie, but like Ken, and like he gets 2 musical numbers, and there's just so many moments. Like I still, yes. Oh, Weird Barbie. Yes, I can't remember her name either. Yeah, right. So you had a Weird Barbie. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was weird, yeah. With who boobs grew? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, super weird. Yeah, I know. Oh, in the box. Yep. I It's not. Way over their heads. Yeah, yeah. It's okay, they'll get it when they're older. And besides, there's a tons of kids stuff that is Barbie themed. Like there's all like they have this, there's like a YouTube channel and all that stuff that and like kids movies for Barbie. Like that's not really what this was. Right. Right. Yes. It's nothing like that. Right. She's like, "What's a patriarchy?" Yeah, it's like I get yeah. So like here's the thing. The yeah, that line by the way, it's like once I found out that the patriarchy wasn't really about horses, I kind of lost interest. Is so funny, and then also like basically everything with the horses is funny because he's like, see, horses are just man extenders, which is so funny too. Like again, Ken to me, as the man here, um, is just just so. I mean, again, Ryan Gosling is really one of the funniest actors we have in Hollywood, but just does not do it enough. Um, I was talking with Matt recently about what's it called, The Good Guys, the Other Guys, or something like that, where it's him and Russell Crowe in this '70s cop movie, and God, it is so hilarious. Um, and he just has perfect comic timing, and so seeing him do nail these like one liners and these little throwaway gags is just my Mojo Dojo Casa House and all that stuff is like the Mojo Dojo Casa House. It's flying off the shelf. It's like like all that stuff is just really nails it. And like the thing is, despite all that, and I think it has a great a pretty good message. I think it's a little overstuffed in the sense that like it's trying to communicate so many ideas, right? Like okay, the patriarchy about being being your own independent self, but also supporting other this, and then there's all these underlying aspects of like about relationships and kind of and hierarchies of relationships and how you and friendships and like how you relationships with your mom, relationships with your old childhood, relationships with you know the business side of Barbie. Like there's just like a million different themes that this movie is trying to hit, and I don't think it really nails every single one. It play no, because I think it doesn't give enough of all of those concepts enough time to breathe, right? It- Well, I think despite how much it was trying to achieve, it's still able to cohesive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's fair. Oh yeah, it's a man-hating movie. It couldn't be it literally couldn't be less man-hating. One of the main themes of this movie is that as a man that you need to, understand who you are as a person and not, pour yourself into all of these things that you think mean a man, horses or being or watching The Godfather or all these things that you think makes a man find your own, be your own person, find your own center, right? And also like you're not you're not your girlfriend, and you're not, and your girlfriend's not you, and like these things are different, you know. Well, right, that yes, right. Well, no, yeah, yeah, but at the same time, it's like it is Barbie and Ken, so it is like a little bit of like, well, it is pretty wild that that doesn't happen. I don't, you don't, I don't know, but you're asking the wrong guy. But I will say that like that underlying theme, I think is really satisfying. Like that's one of the better arcs because you know Ken comes out of it being like, you know, finding himself to some degree, and so does Barbie. But like, it's just it's a really clean arc for Ken, and so yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, there's almost no gayness in there. I don't really, yeah, yeah. Well, launch of angry people yelling at each other into the void. Yeah, but it's true, but those people won't see it, unfortunately. So, yeah. Anyway, it made a crazy amount of money at $612 million domestically, over $1 billion internationally. Crazy smash success. Will be nominated for Oscars. Probably will win something in a technical award. Probably it may be a performance, or maybe we'll see. I don't think it's going to win best best movie or anything like that, but it'll probably be nominated. All right, so that's the list. So let's go and review. Let's review our lists here, and we'll just go through it one at a time. So here, my list from just to number one was as follows. I put the Meg 2, The Trench, at as a dark horse. Now, I actually saw this movie. I went and saw it at Clear Lake, this really cool movie theater that's built in a wooden cabin. In the It's really beautiful in a national park. It's very few of these types of theaters in the world. So I saw what would be a good movie to see at a theater like that? Either a horror movie, which I don't really watch, or a shark movie. So I went and saw a shark movie, and it was really fun. It yeah, it fell to number 15. I can't do it, guys. I'm sorry. I just don't have the emotional like strength to wreck myself like that. It doesn't appeal to me. It's fine. Um, so that landed at number 15. Again, I thought, maybe a shark movie starring Jason Statham might do it, but it didn't. That's fine. Then I put Haunted Mansion. Now, I feel like this is maybe where I kind of did one of those things where you did, where I didn't really do enough research, because although I feel like I knew that Haunted Mansion was a Disney movie, I didn't really consider. I was kind of like, I need to have a horror movie on here as a dark horse because, every year there seems to be at least one summer horror movie that cracks the top 10. This is an exception. There wasn't one. I wanted to have something at least on my dark horse to be able to say that I thought about it. Haunted Mansion is not really a horror movie. It's more of like a horror comedy. It's a Disney movie. So anyway, it felt to number 16. I wasn't really close with either of those. I put TMNT Mutant Mayhem also as a black dark horse. It fell to 13. So I got no hits from my dark horses. At number 10, Rise of the Beasts, which its actual result was 9. So I got 7 points for that. Oppenheimer, I put at number 9. Its actual position was 4, so I got 3 points for that. I put number 8, The Little Mermaid. Its actual position was number 5. I got 3 points for that as well. At number 7, I put Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Its actual position was 8, so I got 7 points. Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, I put at number 6. Its actual position was number 7, so I got 7 points. If I just bumped those two back, oh boy, that would have been pretty good. At number 5, I put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Did not have enough faith in this franchise, even though I absolutely adore it. I put at number 5. Its actual position is number 2, so I got 3 points. Barbie at number 4, I put that. Obviously, we just talked about it, and that's number 1, 3 points for that. Nailed number 3, 10 points for Guardians of the Galaxy at number 3. And then Fast X and The Flash at number 2, Fast X at 1, Flash falling to actually 12th, Fast X 11th. So I got 0 points for both my first and second pick. But hey, I scored points on every single other pick on here, which I think is what kept me in the running. I ended with 43 points for a total of 43, which puts me in second behind Peter Soretta Filmcast. Now, do you want to read out, Rachel? Yeah, turns out that movie didn't even it's 16 at the box office. Like it just didn't even it didn't even appear on the radar. People didn't even know it existed. It feels like, Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, 2 points. Turns out those. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So hey, you also got no points for your Fast X and Flash picks, but you put yeah, we're more appropriate at 7 and 8. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, fair enough. Sure. I think if you'd put it at number 4, I still think you would have only got 3 points, right? I think that's how that works. You have to be within 3 positions to get 7, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That must really irk you because it's not only is it a movie you don't like, but also you felt like you had to give it some props, but then it didn't even achieve the heights that you hoped it would. It's so funny. Okay, yeah. So we're tied. All right. So yeah, we're tied for second amongst the film cast. So at 43, right at again 46. Well, okay. First of all, I feel because as you mentioned before, at least you watched the trailer this year for some of them. So, in my opinion, it's like I'm getting worse and you're getting it's like we're going opposite directions, right? Um yeah, and so I I hope that next year here's the thing, next year's probably going to be a summer because we lost a lot of time for production um and really just movie making in general due to the strikes and with actor strikes still on, things like Deadpool 3 are probably going to slip a year or more. So what we get next year is a real crapshoot. I don't know if Dune 2 falls into the summer window. I know they pushed it. It was supposed to be this Christmas. So we might get some movies that were supposed to be at the end of this year and early next year pushed into summer, which might help bolster the summer movie crowd. We just don't know. It's hard to say. But I, it'll be interesting to say the least. I mean, MCU in a real slump, right? So How do they pull themselves out of that? Are they able to pull themselves out of that? We're going to have the effects of the strikes. We'll see how that plays out. And in general, it's like, some of the things that were learned this year is that Barbie and Oppenheimer, which are both original properties, essentially, right? Like, yes, they're based on existing things. In the case of Oppenheimer, it's based on a book, and Barbie based on a toy, but they weren't franchise movies, right? And they did really, really, really well. Um, Whereas, of course, Spider-Man is a franchise movie, but everyone loves Spider-Man, so it's like you can't really bet against Spider-Man. But like, I would be interested to see if there's some of these lessons are learned by studios and say, okay, let's go ahead and put these movies out and see what happens. And Apple TV, interestingly enough, who is going to be is releasing a movie, I think this week, um, for Killers of the Flower Moon, which is the latest Scorsese movie, which is not going to make crazy money. It's probably going to make 40 million dollars at the box office in the opening weekend. But um, is a movie that wouldn't, a streaming movie that wouldn't have typically or traditionally gotten a theatrical release. But what Apple's doing is they're holding its streaming release and they are doing a full theatrical release for it. And they believe in the movie. And what a concept. So if there's more of these, if more of these streamers take their direct to streaming movies and put them out in theaters first, which I think everyone would be fine with, that might change the equation a little bit too. So who knows? Netflix still seems to be really reluctant to doing that, but both Amazon and Apple seem to be fine with that. And of course, Paramount Plus, they put out Transformers and they put out TMNT, so those movies are going to theaters anyway. So it'd be interesting to see. There's just lots of question marks. Okay, so we both owe each other a thing of beer. I guess I don't know how that works. When everyone wins, nobody wins. Either way, it was fun. I do enjoy doing this every year. So again, next year, as this summer season, we'll do this again. I encourage you as listeners to play along with us next year. I'll send out some reminders ahead of time. I'll put it into the Discord for the Patreon supporters and put it out on Twitter and stuff as reminders to say, hey, we're going to do it this year. So get your picks in. We'll probably continue to use the same website, thesummermoviewager.com. Not summermoviewager.com. That's different. Thesummermoviewager.com. It's not the best designed website, I'm not going to lie, but it does do a good job of tracking all those points for you, because there's no way in hell that I was ever going to do that on my own. So highly recommend checking that out. And even just going over to the summermoviewager.com and just how it all works and kind of some of the facts and figures and all that stuff. Anyway, so that's next year, but between now and next year, there's still plenty of stuff to come. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, there is going to be another film club this month for, and it's going to be Donnie Darko. We actually need to do a bonus one because we missed September. So I don't know what I still kind of want to do. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's still kind of like I'm still wanting to do that one. So maybe we'll find some time to squeeze that in. We sometimes find time to squeeze in a bonus one around Christmas too. So we'll see if we can get that. And again, apologies to the Patreon subscribers for that. Other than that, I'm going to try to get in a show with Jeremy sometime in the next week or so to do just a regular podcast episode to catch up on the news. There is actually a lot of news. As I mentioned, the Netflix price hikes and the continuing strikes and et cetera, et cetera. There's plenty to talk about on that front, as well as a bunch of weird movies like The Father of the Bride. That is just truly great movie that I'm not really going to get into talking about it, but I do recommend, if you've never seen it, just to go watch some classic Steve Martin. And Martin Short, who doesn't have a huge role in that movie, is very funny. So as if you've been watching Only Murders in the Building, which if you haven't been watching that show, Rachel, I'm looking at you. You need to start watching it. It's so funny. You got it. It's unbelievable how to me, it's like a perfect show. It's smart. It's witty. It's got quick jokes. It's got callbacks, long running jokes, really strong performances, and like Martin Short and Steve Martin just being like, they're probably some of the best work they've ever put in. Honestly, it's really great. So in that vein, my recommendation, if I'm making a recommendation, I don't know. This is not something we normally do, but I'm making a recommendation. Go watch Father of the Bride. I have to see the second one still. So anyway, that, and also I guess if you're looking for movies that are in the spirit of the season, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Totally Killer on Amazon Prime is a really fun choice. Alrighty then, and I guess on the Star Wars front, we're on a short break until we can think of a good fun bonus episode to do. I feel like there's some ideas that we've talked about over the past, like our favorite Obi-Wan moments that we were going to do before the Obi-Wan happened, and stuff like that. But we still have there's things that we still need to work through on that. We did need a break after covering Ahsoka. So anyway, stay tuned to the Small Screen Star Wars feed for more on that. Of course, the Twitter at Tower Babblecast, Facebook.com/Tower Babblecast, and we'll be back very soon with more lovely content for Tower Babble. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.